everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Metaworld News. We will be bringing you highlights, as it were, for the week ending the 4th of October already. Well, October, not October already.
We got
That's
here.
not a month. That's not a month, that's an expression. Right, and indeed. Right, and talking of news headlines, my name is Mal Bones, MAL, one word, BURNS, second word. But I get squashed by the interwebs. It's disgusting, really. They just squash everything when you want it to be squashed or not. It's almost a bit like commuter trains before COVID. Anyway, you can find me on the web's own commuter train, i.e., twitter.com. Twitter.com/Malburns, all one word, squashed, Malburns. And there's an additional feed there for the show, which is all specifically about virtual spaces, really. And that is twitter.com/MetaWorld News. Again, it's all been squashed. But we have to get used to that. Almost everything I read out these days has an O, which is squashed.
Indeed.
The Earls have just never been hot on spaces, have they? Anyway, as a technical limitation we have not yet overcome. As I said, I'm Mal Burns. I'm joined in the studio here by James Atloud. Welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Mal. It's good to be back in the studio again.
Yep, weekly rendezvous. And yeah, indeed, James is twiddling knobs that you can't see anymore. But those knobs have to do with the video. In other words, he's showing you my desktop when I ask him to, as well as showing you my avatar blabbering away, and occasionally even a movie or anything else we cough up
Ah, right,
for
right.
you.
Yep.
Yes, and believe it or not, he even speaks as well. So
I probably shouldn't, but I do. So,
no, you should. I get lonesome if I don't hear another voice moaning at me or praising me or I don't know, whatever you want, really.
yeah, yeah, it's good to have something to play off, even if it's a blank slate.
Yes. Who are you calling a blank slate?
Myself.
Ah,
Except an
yeah.
animated. I have an animated black slate.
Yes, indeed. You've definitely gone wild on the t-shirt front today.
Yep.
For those of you who haven't never noticed this, James has now got into the habit of wearing a different t-shirt for every show. And there they are, actually. As a rule, they have been fairly vastly different, but this one is. It's like a thousand t-shirts in one.
It's great
Sort
fun.
of,
I have to say it's great
yeah,
fun. Just for reference, this shirt came from the Sansar store, and let me bring
yeah.
up the name of the store. Oh, too many buttons to click here, as you say. This came from a place called Seduction Store, and the name
Oh,
is
I think I heard of that.
Male Animated Vaporwave Shirt. So,
Male animated vaporwave,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
You
that
know,
works for me. Yeah,
if your avatar could sort of stay in position,
yeah.
right? And you could send your t-shirt ahead of you through a hyper jump, that kind of might be what it would look like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Yeah, yeah. The grid pattern
And
and the movement. Yeah,
yes, exactly.
yeah.
Your t-shirt is hyper jumping without you.
It is. Wait, come back.
You better fix that one.
Right,
Or
right.
maybe not. Maybe not. I think I prefer to have you on the show than to get lost in the
Lost in the
teleporterverse.
ethers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's
Anyway.
get down to the actual news. The
Yes,
actual
yes.
news. Now, the first screen James is going to show you, my first link, as it were, it's the same link every week, to be honest. It's scaredghost.com, SKARREDGH. Sorry, I've start again. SKARREDGHOST.com. And the blog is called The Ghost Howls, in fact, the title when you get there. The XR Week Peak. Every Monday without fail, he posts the XR Week Peak. And this was, of course, Monday. Well, God, my gosh, God, it was back in September. Seems like years ago now. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, debate on Facebook continues. Will it ever stop, for that matter? Microsoft acquiring ZeniMax and more. Almost all this is stuff we covered ourselves last week. The debate on Facebook we covered in Now Found Quest 2, etc. Um, Right, bit of news about side quest specifically there. And this summary also includes games and things like that that we don't normally. Um, Facebook has acquired another company. Yeah, we must have covered that last week. Facebook acquires a company a week by the look of it at the moment. So, uh, yeah, okay, I think we got enough there. Okay, I'm not going to go down all that because it's a pretty thorough read. If you do want to catch up, this is the best place to start, especially if tomorrow. Tomorrow's edition will be, of course, but also, if you can't remember what happened over a week ago, then it's a very very good roundup site to go to. So let me put that away. Hello. Oh, of course, I'm on a different machine. Right. Okay. I think we got two this week. There certainly have been two. Oh, this may be no. This may actually be the only one I've put up today. I think the other ones were a bit off center in terms of virtual worlds and stuff. Voices of VR's podcast is voicesofvr.com. That's easy enough to get to. VOICESOFVR.com. And this is all about training artificial intelligence in a story world called Agency, which is I've seen a lot of reviews of this in the week. People seem to like it. A dynamic film combining reinforcement learning with immersive storytelling. And well, even VR chat's got better avatars than that, but that's not quite the point. This is a dynamic film, game-like interactions and puzzles, and etc., etc. Getting quite a bit of feed there. Very little about it in the summary there, but obviously got quite a long podcast to go with it. So if you're interested in how they make these wonderful game-like experiences, well worthy of a listen. So that's voicesofvr.com. All right, talking of something else that's an episode. This is episode 110. No, this is awkward. This is actually the site called Spreaker, which I think is a host for podcasts. Um, and uh, yeah, I don't think it's got a website that goes directly with it. So if you want to follow it up, you have to go to twitter.com Malbones and follow this link. Um, it's yeah, 1 hour 10 minutes anyway, beginning of the week. It's from a webcast called Boundless, and augmented and virtual reality producer on the ethics of augmented reality. So all about ethics and stuff like that. Um, if you yeah, if you subscribe to Spreaker, I think you should just look up Boundless. That seems to be the publisher's name, i.e., presumably the name of the podcast itself. Oh, and the author, who is Richard Foster Fletcher, who is a pro user. Anyway, it's quite not the easiest thing to get to on its own, but it was quite interesting. All right, let's move. Okay, Atom Heart Mother. No, not quite, but
Almost.
how?
Yep.
Yeah, how? Whenever I see a pig, I think of it.
Yep. Yep.
Why is it not? Why is it not flying over Battersea Power Station?
That's right.
They're 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 really unattractive creatures to me, but they're also sort of cute. I
Oh
can't really
yeah.
explain it.
Yeah.
I don't find them in any way attractive, but I very sort of, they look rather pitiful. I never know.
Yeah. I think I like the Pink
Uh,
Floyd track "Dogs" better than pigs, but it's okay.
yes, well, quite,
Yep.
yeah. I was listening to Dave Mason's band, Saucerful of Secrets. They play
Oh
all the
yeah.
early Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And there's I got on Spotify. I haven't got the fan video yet, but I got the live concert in audio from they did in the
Mm.
Roundhouse last year. So it's
Mhm.
about 2 hours of just early Pink Floyd, including the more harmonic stuff from
Oh yeah. Cool.
See Emily plays and stuff like the before Dave Gilmour was with them, some of it. But
Mhm.
they go up to I think the most recent thing they perform is the Atom Heart Mother suite.
Okay. Yep.
I think they maybe did echoes at one point, but not on that recording. But that's the cut-off point. After that, Roger Waters' band takes over.
Yep.
And then after that, Dave Gilmour's band takes over.
Yeah, and I've always been a Waters
It's
fan.
good.
I was referring to the
It,
album Animals, of course, so that was not
yeah,
even.
yeah,
Yep.
that's true. Yeah, actually, it's so long ago. I can forget what order they all came in now,
I
to be
know.
honest.
I
But
can't do that
yeah,
either.
yeah. It's. I remember that one. It was on that one, or was it that one, or
Or
was
was
it?
it
Well,
that
which came
one?
first anyway? Yes, they have they have a tweet account that reminds me every day of something or other.
Uh,
Right. Anyway, as I was
anyway,
saying,
pigs.
this is about how VR can grow animal rights advocates. Virtual reality is working to improve the quality of life for both humans and animals. Yes, indeed. This is a site called Odyssey, and the whole www dot theody double seyoonline.com. So theodysseyonline.com. Again, another um, operation that we has suffered a squashing job. You'd actually think they'd actually just come up with a shorter L, wouldn't you? But never mind. Do they actually need the THE bit? Anyway, yes. So we have an article here. Um, coming from construction to healthcare training, etc., etc. Technology is synonymous with video games. Made its way into industries for purposes of training and education, etc., etc. And well, basically, animal rights activists are hoping to make use of it. Um, I suspect a lot of this will be what they call 360 video with horrific video footage of animals being mistreated and stuff like that. But well, good on them anyway to bring these things to light. Don't know what these. I think that's meant to be a highlighting technique rather than a censorship job. I can't read. In 2017, blank gained some notoriety.
Well,
This is not very helpful.
is that the dark background? I mean, the dark theme not working right?
It could be something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
have I got it? Oh yeah, well, it's still they've still basically highlighted it, but it's hard to read on
Are
the
they
white background.
hyperlinks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, animalequality.org and grandviewresearch.com, etc., etc. Anyway, anyway, it's just simply a quick report on animal rights activities
Mm-hmm.
using VR. So there you go. Many people, including myself, really quite passionate about that topic.
VR, the
So
empathy machine.
yes, exactly.
Yep.
Um, this Channel Leon, the writer, is at the University of San Francisco. So um, yeah, yeah. So that's there. If you want to read it, theodysseyonline.com. And yeah, let's move on. Goodbye, piggies. Right, Forbes. We all know Forbes, don't we? This is the easiest website of all to read out. It's forbes.com. Yes.
Nice.
No the's and that's and everything else attached to this one. Right. Web VR zero. I've heard of dot one and dot two and dot whatever, but this is dot zero. Okay, they're asking the very simple question: has a web VR or VR website, as they put it, finally arrived? And the 20-year-old founder of Spaces thinks so. They talk about Spaces, which of course is around on the web these days. Um, this guy's been around a while, though. In terms of actual modern web VR sites, I mean, since the coronavirus in particular, we've got there's a couple of things that are a bit like OpenSim on the web, and there is of course also Mozilla Hubs and quite a few things. So, what's interesting here is that John Kraithouse goes on in this interview quite a bit. It actually starts by referencing Second Life in 2003, which is he describes as briefly successful, although users eventually tired of the clunky graphics and glitchy movements of their avatars. One has a feeling he probably hasn't looked at it since what was the year? um, where? Come on, what year was it? Oh, I've lost a bit where he mentioned Second Life now. Anyway, it was how very weird. I scrolled down too far. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, a bit of history in the article too. So just a nice little interview there. Right. Did I give you that? Oh yeah, Forbes.com. You can't miss that one, can you? Bye bye. Oh, God. Ah, talking of which, right, yeah, this one again has got a lousy style sheet. This is actually at Stanford. It's the address is StanfordRewired.com. So Stanford Rewired .com, and the section, the magazine or whatever is called Rewired. And this first issue is apparently all about governance. Um, and the first article is a second look at Second Life. So interesting. Oh, those are wear your mask warnings and everything else. Interesting bit of commentary here on things in Second Life, including quite a bit of history involved in it too. I'm not quite sure. I was reading about this, and there's quite good history stuff in here, but precisely what it's got to do with governance, I'm not entirely sure. You could, it goes on about the marketplace and stuff like that, but there are parts of Second Life that actually are communities in Second Life. I forget their names offhand now. It's a bit while since I've been there, but they've actually it's like a association of democratic sims and stuff. And I won't say role playing, but people that are actively exploring methods of governance for their communities as if it was real,
Right,
sort
right.
of prototyping it real. And this particular article, although it focuses on Second Life, completely. Well, look, it goes into virtual jewelry store and everything else. It's the one facet of Second Life that they haven't covered at all for a site that is called Issue One Governance. But there we go. So anyway, you'll find that at stanfordrewired.com. Again, Stanford and Rewired, two words that have been squashed together for the benefit of the web. Of course, stanfordrewired.com. Okay, moving on. Now, you might be fooled into thinking this is last week's, but in fact, the creation engine number two is the title of this blog from Jim Perbick, formerly known as Babbage Linden. You'll find it at jimpurbrick.com. So it's JIMPURBRICK.com. And it's actually, I think, the third or maybe even fourth now of a series of articles where he's sharing some short posts on high level concept, which will be useful to people who need virtual worlds. And this is the latest one, a past and present future of work. Um, it would help if there was a bit of a distinction between these blog posts because they're all called Creation Engine number two, despite the site being called jimperbrick.com. And well, who am I to criticize? Um, yeah, and Jim actually, when he left Second Life, he was one of the early movers to a certain company that begins with F and ends in book. He's left them now,
I can guess that.
thankfully,
Yep.
but you can tell from kind of the videos that he's including in this site that sort of things he's been involved with and stuff. And some of it, well, never mind. That's a reflector. That was a mirror he made or something, I think. Anyway, interesting stuff to read there. Possibly of more interest to you if you're in Second Life and interested in the history of all these things and stuff, rather than in general. But there's a lot to be said for his comments on the metaverse in general too.
Hmm.
Right. Moving on now, we're on Digital Journal. This is DIGITALJOURNAL.com. And it's a press release, in fact, but 6 ways of healthcare transformation with medical virtual reality in 2020. Like everything else in the COVID age, so much has moved online, but a lot of this stuff was, in development long before, and just simply, have it. Well, I won't even say a renaissance because a lot of it is new. Um, Medical VR is an area with fascinating possibilities. It's moved from the imagination of science fiction fans and clinical researchers and real life medical practitioners, blah blah. The field is relatively new, but there are increasingly great examples of VR having a positive effect on patients' lives and physicians' work. I think you get the idea there. Um, for a press release, it's quite a big one. But there it is. I'm not sure. Well, it's been issued by a company called Concord, but it does seem to be much more of a general sort of summary of the field rather than a press release played for an individual company. So, as I say, worthy of your perusals, especially if you're into health and medicine in VR. Digitaljournal.com, that was, of course, by the way. Right, moving on. Um, Back on the medical stuff. Well, we've only gone, have we? Real surgeons meet virtual surgery. Now, this is in the UK here. It came out of the blue, and presumably it's of use to our surgeons in the medical health National Health Service. Surgeon Simulator 2 is now free. Well, if you are a surgeon in the National Health Service. Um, I'm not entirely sure what it does, but that, I guess, it's quite cute actually. I think it's better than Second Life medical simulations. I mean, it's you can see what it's like, and the nature of these avatars is they are sort of cartoony, but they're also very expressive. So it looks quite interesting. Simulator 2 is you can get it on the Epic Games Store. And if you work for the National Health Service here in the UK, and you will know what that means, you do have an ID thing because during COVID, you've been getting a lot of stuff for free that other people pay for. Until October the 22nd, if you work for the NHS, you can get your free copy. But you go to the Epic Game Store, Surgeon Simulator 2. I believe it's available to buy as well if you are not a National Health Service practitioner. Okay, so the post about this is at www.theverge.com, theverge.com. And there it is in all its glaring glory. That's more like it. Get back to normal. I've definitely got to go back to the mat next week. I've got more control over the way it looks for you. Right. Well, I really don't like looking at a screen that is bright anyway. It's much better if it's dark. Um,
Hmm.
but coming over on video, if it's too bright, I think it looks even worse.
Almost as
Anyway,
bright
anyway,
as my shirt.
yeah, exactly. Well, no comment on that. Okay, quite quite an important one here. TheEconomist.com, um, major serious magazine. I no longer get it weekly, but for a lot of my life I did. I always found it was an excellent magazine to find out about it. Round up all the newspaper stuff of the week. It's read by politicians, businessmen, and what is considered a sort of exclusive sort of group, but they've never been over. They've never been very right wing or anything like that. It's a good magazine to read. Anyway, they have an article here. The metaverse is coming now. When I see the Economist say this, I think, well, I think they have. Oh lordy, lordy. Right. Well, it didn't lock me out before, but certainly has today. Okay. I don't think I can log in here because I'm on a different machine from where I got it from. No, I have no idea. I can probably get. I think the answer is I can get in on the Mac. Okay, and I've now managed to put that away. So look up the economist.com, and the article is called The Metaverse is Here, basically. And if you subscribe to The Economist, you can probably get in. But also, if it's a site you don't go to regularly, they'll usually let you in for a couple of times a month, you know.
So do they have
Okay.
evidence that the metaverse had arrived?
Oh God, I'm trying to remember.
Uh,
I'll tell you what. We can try reloading it.
well, just was it compelling or?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't, to be honest, anything special. But given the people that actually read The Economist,
Yeah,
I can imagine a lot of their readers have probably even never heard of the metaverse
right, right.
at all. Um, I'd like to think that Boris Johnson or something is sitting there reading his weekly dose of the news. That's the sort of
Yeah.
person who'll be reading this and say, "What's the metaverse then?" um,
Yep.
yeah, let's see. Okay, well, they're starting on. They go through a hell of a lot, if I remember rightly, and of course that's all I get now. Yeah, they start off with quoting Sharon Lanier, but they're also talking about together mode in Microsoft Teams.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
But no, it does move on to a lot of the more of what we would call the
An
metaverse,
expansive
basically.
definition of metaverse. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, everybody, I've never haven't quite known what to do with the feeds for Metaverse this week, but I would just like to point out that the New York Comic Con panels are not the Metaverse,
Oh, right.
despite the fact that they seem to be calling them that. And of course,
right, right.
this week they've been posting their panels online. They're video panels. They're not even avatars. And Zoom calls and stuff like that. And according to New York Comic Con, this is the metaverse. It's the New York Comic Con's metaverse. And it has
Yeah.
nothing remotely to do with any metaverse definition, description, or anything else I've ever come across. Even that photograph I spotted, which looks terrible, mind control operation, even that is closer to something about the metaverse. Anyway, yes, as I said, that is at theeconomist.com. So economist.com.
Yep.
And it's in a section called Technology Quarterly, actually. So if you have a problem, just / technology dash quarterly. Um, okay. An article to be seen by many, one would hope, who don't otherwise know what it is. Okay, moving on. We're at vrscout.com, so that's vrscout.com. And they've got 8 inventive examples of immersive technology in, wait for it, education. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
education in general. Um, Making learning more entertaining, encouraging STEM programs, and help with distance education. And they roundup of stuff well, 8 things they've found to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Unimmersive, Boulevard, museum tours, chemistry in Mind 2. Many of these I'd never heard of myself, to be honest, but they
Right,
are
right.
genuinely immersive things, really, simulations. History Maker VR for history. Um, Jackson School in Florida for Australia. Special education. That seems to be right. That doesn't seem to be an actual thing. It's descriptive. Field trips to Mars. There we are. 6 from Lockheed Martin. God, that's ambitious. Lockheed Martin, head for the stars. No, Mars. Sorry, not the stars. Stars come later. First Mars, then the stars. There's a new line for you. Right. Laboratories with Labster. And what's number 8? Campus visits. And then VR, the future of education. They do a little summary. So you will find that at vrscout.com. VRSCOUT.com. And moving on. This is readwrite.com. I always get posts from here. They don't have a great deal on virtuality as a rule, but when they do, they have some nice articles. Uh, readwrite.com. And the post 2nd of October, that would have been Friday, I think. Extended reality and the convergence of AR and VR. And well, yeah, um, all about working from home, pandemic, telling you what XR is. Hey, hey, forget about XR. Come on, James, in unison with me. We are.
We are.
Yeah. Arr, we
Mm-hmm.
are indeed. Right, sorry, bit of a quick rabbit hole there. Okay, so XR now includes we are, of course, but actually we are includes XR. Yeah, it's the other way around, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a whole load of reading and writing stuff here, appropriate for a site called Read Write, really, isn't it? Um, yeah, covering just about everything, um, and the future of XR in post pandemical, assuming there is a post pandemical. Right, written by Brian Wallace, extended reality and the convergence of AR and VR. So read, write, all one word, .com for that one. Okay. So, back to Scarred Ghost. This one, of course, is one of his reviews, and it's literally a couple of days ago now. Um, I almost missed this for some reason. I don't know why. And then I did a double take thinking, hang on, that's Ghost Towels. It must be interesting. And yeah, I think I was put off by the thing where it said throwback review. It's a hands on with something called Metaworld, Meta 2 and more. And it's really raving about this kind of headset. It is not a Facebook product, you'll be pleased to know. And actually, I can't really remember this, but I mean, you can see there that like the whole form factor, with the sort of glasses coming down from the rim on top. It actually looks like a sort of thing a
Hmm.
COVID worker might wear, except they'd need more protection there, wouldn't they?
Hmm.
Um, oh, this is 4 minutes, so it's gonna.
Yeah. Hard to hear it, Mel. Mel, I'm not really hearing it.
You're not hearing it,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Never mind, never mind. I thought it was quite loud there, but never mind. We'll worry about that when we come to some other videos. Okay, but you want SKARREDGHOST.com for the message to review there. And you've only got, whenever he does a simple review, if this was a magazine, it would be the whole magazine. It just goes on and on
Oh,
and
very
on.
thorough. Yep.
Not quite the longest of them actually, but quite long all the same. So there we are, scarghost.com. Now, this is back in the UK here actually. The site is vrfocus.com again, so vrfocus.com. And October 1st would have been Thursday, I think. Bristol being a town in westward from London here, about 100 miles to the west, I think. VR Lab opens virtual in Altspace VR. And Altspace VR is another virtual world that is not on the web as such. You do need to download a client, but it's been one of the ones that has been a bit more successful during the COVID period, possibly because these days it's actually owned by Microsoft. And it's a funny thing about things that Microsoft own. They do tend to get pushed left, right, and centre. Um, um, Maybe not quite as much as the Zuckerberg empire, but
Yeah.
nevertheless. Anyway, Opposable is the name of the company. Their VR lab has become a major networking hub in the UK city for immersive content creators. Unlike other social locations, it has had to adapt to the current climate. Sorry, but like other social locations, sorry. Um, so they've now set up Lab version 2 as a virtual space inside AltSpace VR. And well, you can read more about it here. And those involved. The official launch will be on October the 7th, which is Wednesday, I do believe. A series of tech talks from guest speakers, including Nobody I've ever heard of.
Okay.
Actually, Kevin Williams I've heard of, and somebody who's the other, somebody else there. Oh, Verity McIntosh I've vaguely heard of. But could be interesting if you're into that kind of thing, and you may well already have Space VR on downloaded, and you will probably also get announcements about this from Space themselves. They have a very comprehensive events calendar system, as it were. Right. So vrfocus.com is where you can read that post. Right. This is a site called immerse.news. IMMERSE.NEWS. That's the correct suffix. It's a disguised site at Medium that doesn't require going through their paywall. It's talking about emergent storytelling in the new age of social AR. Um, Again, mentioning exile and all sorts of. God, that darn. I'm definitely going back to the map next week. I hate having to toggle to a thing that blinds me. Right. Yeah. Basically, they do touch on that, like they look at VR chat and stuff like that, which is VR, and they mention XR quite a lot. But the focus of the article is on AR, which is really you have the overlay on real life, as it were. But well, they've got the phrase social AR.
Hmm.
Um, there's something here. Was it Pokemon or something?
What?
Yeah, I think they consider that games like Pokemon Go
Oh, right.
revolutionized location-based AR in 2016, and that was the starting point of social AR. But they've got to have a name for everything, really, haven't they? So they find that at Immerse News, and talking of all things bright and beautiful, not so much. What a day for a daydream.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we all know that Google Cardboard and all that stuff was there, but actually there was another Google thing called Daydream VR, and that's gone the way of ways too. That was another one that involved having you sticking a smartphone into the headset, if I recall. Great way of overheating your expensive phone, by the way, in most cases.
Yep.
That there really was no real future in that department, so it's no real surprise they say. But it's no longer officially supported by Google as of the latest Android 11. So it marks the end of the line for mobile virtual reality platform, which was first introduced in 2016. Is that all? Good. It hasn't even been around as long as Trump.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that is odd. It doesn't. There's something happening to the world these days, and it's not a virus. It's something to do with perception of time. Just nothing seems quite compute anymore in the human brain. Well, not this human brain anyway. So yeah, farewell Google Daydream. You can read more about that at techradar.com. Just a note epilogue really. techradar.com. And finally, can VR help? Uh, uh, oh, for Lord's sake!
That's a new one.
Oh, even worse. Right. Okay. All I can tell you is where you this apparently my ad blocker.
Is
Um,
not appreciated.
yeah, it's I'm on a machine where it's all different setups. So something's blocking it. They obviously the ad blocker on this machine is obviously doing its job, but um, interfering with me really. If it's a good job, I don't actually use this for anything too important. Okay, the site I'm looking at it's constructionweekonline.com. CONSTRUCTIONWEEKONLINE. And actually, I've rather wished this unloaded after all that. .com. Right, the article is called Can Virtual Reality Help Adapt the Construction Industry to the New Normal? So I actually thought this was quite interesting because in the times of COVID and tell everybody, oh, you got to work from home and stuff like that. One tends to reel off a load of these professions or occupations, as it were, that you really can't work from home, like hospitals. Doctors are okay because you can have video calls for a lot of it, but sort of you don't think of construction workers as being able to use virtual reality and work from home. And this article actually proves that that's actually not the case. Now, obviously, you can't walk into a Unity built virtual world and use the tactile thing in your hands to actually lay bricks and cement them in the real world. It doesn't quite work like that. But, but a surprising amount of organization and planning and discipline and all sorts of other things can actually happen through virtuality online for construction workers. So if you're interested in that, that is where you want to go. Construction Week Online, all one word, .com. And as you can see, I can't get in. Not on this machine at any rate, because I'm blocking the ads. But there we go. So, believe it or not, that's all I have for this. I'm now switching over out of sight to Metaworld News. So, the following links coming up now. If you want more and things to click on, you simply go to twitter.com/. Metaworld News, or one word. Right, an almost weekly plug here. Why not? If you are in OpenSim and want to know what to do, you can actually come to our Hypergrid Explorers and creators Discord channel, and there's a rolling feed of events on OpenSim there. But there's also this site. It's Your World's EU, so that's YOURWORLDS.eu hype events. Um, it's the only way you can really check up on them because the site doesn't have an RSS feed or anything. The only way I can find out what's going on here is to go and check the site itself. Fortunately, I've got a little widget up in my toolbar that you out of shot here, which notifies me about websites when they update. So I've got maybe I don't know, maybe half a dozen websites, including this one, that just don't have feeds, so I can't get a feed from them. But I've got a little widget that tells me when whoever's running them has updated them. So always the current date and time is at the top. So here you go. For example, today, October 4th. There's somebody in concert on the third rock grid, dancing at Kitely at 8 o'clock, something cancelled at 8:15 on the Kalahashi grid, Kitely's community meeting at 9 o'clock, etc., etc. And then you got Monday, Tuesday, and it goes on for days and days and days. And it seems to update, for those of you who want to know, it seems to update 3, maybe 4 times a day, always with the latest stuff at the top. So it's very good at keeping everything in order with day and time. But basically every time somebody posts on their website, it gets transferred to here, so to speak. Right, so it's good to see all these. I wish there was an easier way of accessing their data, because they do have stuff that some of the other services don't. And we need services that are in the same place and time if we can, really. Right. Okay. Next we have this is a video from the Sacrarium grid or Sacrarium grid. I'm not quite sure how you meant to pronounce it. Live in Peace OpenSim is online, and yeah, it's oh there we are. Um, I have a little fiddle here in the attempt to. Oh, I think you can hear it.
I can hear that. Yep, that helps.
It had a quiet intro. Nothing highly intellectual about this. It's simply a video showing the Circadian grid and their subti- subtitles for the music too. Live in Peace at OpenSim. Anyway, if you're interested, um, what you can do is
Oh, Mel, I've lost you. Let's see. Let's go in world audio.
so it's NIMFE And I don't know why I was telling you that over the music. Not very clever of me. A White Angel and Nymphetka is the name if you want to actually subscribe to them on Aquarium Grid. Um, if you go to Twitter, pardon me, if you go to twitter.com/Metaworld News, you will be able to follow a direct link to that video and it will obviously make it easier to subscribe if you're actually there and just have a button to click on. And yeah, just having a little check for myself to see if anything. Rec Room are live with their community. There are lots of community shows from Virtual Worlds are online. Right.
So Mel, I
And
should let you know we had a little problem with Discord there for a while.
ooh,
Discord disconnected, and so but I was able to hear what you were saying in Sansar. But it
okay.
seemed to disconnect when you started the audio from YouTube. I'm not sure if it's correlated, but
Right. So you got my voice up until the point where I loaded the film.
and then I switched over to Sansar and was able to get
Right.
your voice through that.
I'm with you. I'm
Yep.
with you. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Um, let's see if it's just interrupt if the same thing happens here. There's another YouTube one, M2D's Immersive 3D Autumn um, Light Show. And this, if I recall, is in Sansar 2. Does take a while to load on this machine, doesn't it?
I wonder if
Come on,
Virgin
load
Internet is not
there.
happy.
Okay. So this is SAR, Sansar is the user here at YouTube. Okay, let me put those away. So you're still picking me up from in
Yep.
world or
Yep.
yeah,
No,
right,
I still
okay.
get you in Discord. We're still there.
Oh, I'm back there
You came
too.
back.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Another site called the Hypergrid Zone. And this is well the site's for the Hypergrid, which is basically the collective name for all the interoperating open sim based virtual worlds. And they've got an article on Lauren Tone, the musician, who's quite good. That's me saying they're quite good. He's currently a DigiWorlds resident and aficionado of sound. They did a Q&A with him, and oh dear. 1981. Which one is it? Where is he? Oh, yeah, Lauren Nelson. Okay, that's him in real life in 81 in his band Agents. That's interesting. That would now make. Never mind, never mind. Anyway, it's quite an interesting interview. He's obviously managed to keep his youthful looks like by becoming an avatar, as have we all. Yeah, anyway, quite a long interview there, looking at music and everything else, and some of the different links. One is in DigiWorlds, of course, but you've got links to Third Rock Grid and others at the bottom there, and all about more about him. Right. Let's see. Becoming a B Corp. Oh, right. This is this a bit of a problem here. Excuse me one second. Oh, it doesn't want to open up, does it? Right, this is all my fault. Never mind, never mind. I can't see the dates on some of this stuff. Uh, oh God, 12th of August. Right. I think they republished. Right, this one is September. It may be that that was all we had for this week on Metaworld.
Hmm.
This is so 26th of September. Area for virtual art. No, we did feature that last week. So actually, I don't know why. I do have a third feed, which is Malburn's Writer at Twitter, which covers arts, destinations, and everything in Second Life, and that is jam packed this week.
Ah,
It
okay.
seems to be every morning I wake up and I go through these, and I've got to decide that when I'm posting a link, which feed it's going to. And I've normally posted about 50 things to Malburn's Writer before I've even found anything worth tweeting as Malburn's, let alone Metaworld News.
Sure, sure.
But there we are. There's it's always a fair old amount of stuff there. Um, I focus on videos from in world, like Linden Labs, for example. They have a show now called oh, forgotten what Lab Gab. That's it, which had a Halloween special during the week. There's also a new flip book on the web edition of Eclipse magazine, for example. There's a hosting site called Issue, and a whole load of wonderful stuff. Right, so I'm now going to put the Twitter sidebars away, and I'm going to load finally a sidebar which is actually going to my own Slack client, and this is actually showing me stuff that I posted offline, or rather also in a private Discord channel for videos for sharing. Let me see. In order to do yesterday, oh, I see. It's scrolled itself to the bottom, has it? Naughty, naughty thing it is. Right, Tuesday. Yeah, first one. Tuesday, I posted. Right, this is. Let's get rid of the stuff to minimize lag here. Um, this is a podcast featuring Joanna Popper. Um, uh, this week in XR. I'm actually going to mute these darn things. It's really just a matter of getting it for you. The address here is This Week in XR podcast, and it's there's one every week. You have there we are. This is Joanna Popper. That is I can't remember. My mind has got blank actually. Um, yeah, Charlie Fink, of course. Here we are.
Ah,
How can I miss that? And anyway, as you say, it's a podcast. It's available as a podcast, I believe, but also on YouTube as a video podcast there. So that could be of interest to you. Um, as I said, this week in XR podcast is the address there. Um, this one, this is quite interesting. This came up. Well, I got it on Thursday. I went to a Birmingham, UK chapter of the Vicara Virtual VR AR Association, and the guest speaker on that, it was a Zoom call when I say I went there, and the guest speaker on that was the guy behind the HP Omnicept here, a revolution in VR. So he was talking us all the way through it with a lot more detail. But you've got a 90-second video here that actually summarizes a bit. The poster you want is Z by HP. So it's the letter Z, or Z as Americans call it, and then by, in other words, the maker, and then HP, as the maker themselves. So three separate, well, it's a space between them. Z space by space HP, and you can subscribe to them on YouTube too, or follow. Oh no, as I said, you can't easily follow the links through for this because these are sort of slightly off-topic things that I just like to cover. Um, right, eNet Reality Virtual Booth video. So this one is at. I think this is my ad blocking thing again. The every video at YouTube these days seems to have an advert at the beginning of it, and of course by blocking the ads, I get a black screen.
Mm.
Right. This is all about eNet Reality. It's a virtual booth system, and they've got all of 2 subscribers. I bet you once. Oh, no, I didn't. Right. eNet Reality. It's a small e, then capital N E T, and then capital R E A L I T Y, and then capital TM. So eNet Reality TM for trademark there. Their site is enenetrality.com. But that's if you want to get their videos, then that's how to subscribe to them here. Uh, the technical one is actually just showing you how in video how the boost works. And no, not finally, sorry. Um, Carmen King. I hope this is the right feed. Oh, okay. This shows a bit of promise, though it is not particularly in the domain of. It's also getting laggy, as you can probably tell. Um, Carmen King is this lady's name. Carmen and space then King. You can subscribe to her there. This particular one is 17 minutes. And she's got a few gadgets coming up in front of her, but basically she's killed her interface and she knows what she's doing. It's basically just a look at Second Life. Uh, but you need to look closely here because when I first saw this, I thought she was an avatar. I don't know why.
Oh.
Is it just me?
Mm. Well,
No,
she
maybe not. I
her appearance, she's dressed up quite a bit, but
Yeah,
it's
dressed
it's
up is
not
an
a Second Life
understatement,
avatar,
isn't
that's
it?
for sure.
No, 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 it's not. No, this is real.
Yeah.
Even the background at first sight made me think it was virtual teddy bears. So no, in this case, she is actually talking about Second Life as a real person. But I don't know. But when I see people made up to that extent, you know, I can really get confused. I think that is that a cake face or is it an avatar?
All right.
Anyway, enough of her. Enough of her. If you really want to keep looking at her, then she gives you 17 minutes worth. But it's funny. Is all I can think of making that
If
mistake.
it was Second
Just
Life, I'd like that boom microphone and boom.
yes, yeah,
It'll
that's
look
true.
look good.
Yeah. Um, Actually, the reason we may be lagging is I've forgotten to close these tabs. Oh, what do you do? 1,000 videos open at once. Okay, so we did this week in XR was right. We don't need that one. Okay, final one. Final one is James's favorite one. This is from Upload VR.
Oh yeah, there's my guys.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And Upload VR is the channel, so you can subscribe, or when it's live, you can even join in. And yeah, they publish a bit. I've never actually been at this live because it's a bit late in the evening for me in the UK. But it's always a good one to listen to. Oddly enough, if I've got this right, here we are. Yeah, David. There he is. He's the guy from the UK here.
Yeah.
So a little bonus there. Right, and
Jamie is also, I
actually,
think, but Jamie's sitting in a seat labeled Ian. So
oh, okay, you know them well, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's quite funny here. Yeah, they cover, but they're more gaming orientated than true VR. But it's very interesting to hear them talking. As a rule, and look at latest hardware stuff, especially. Where was I? Oh yeah, here. There's a note on this saying that this episode was streamed live yesterday, which I think was Friday. But
Thursday, actually.
they've edited it apparently due to an audio issue. So
Yeah.
the version here is probably slightly better than what went out live. We know what hiccups are like.
Well, that
And
episode was hilarious because Kyle, the host, kept dropping out. He kept losing connection, and
oh,
and the rest of the panel kind of went crazy. I mean, they were giggling and laughing, and it was um,
oh,
not as serious
that,
as
that
usual, but great topics. I mean, they really do cover this industry very closely. You're right with a game's focus, but very focused on the changes in technology, and they do great videos that are
yeah,
comparing the headsets. So comparing the new Quest with the old Quest with the Rift, and they're they're
yeah.
really doing some great coverage, I think.
I presume it's all the giggles and stuff that got cut out because actually
Yeah, yeah,
this is only an hour and 20 minutes, and I got a feeling they normally go on quite a bit longer now, so they've probably just cut out
yeah,
the problems
yeah.
rather than
But you know, when the host
restored
disappears, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
it. They might as well play. Yeah, I know. Well, this has happened. This has happened to me before now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yep.
I can see them playing because I may have crashed, but I'm watching elsewhere.
Right, right.
That's what they forget. You see, if I crashed here now, and you decided to be naughty, I would still be able to see you on the broadcast. Well, unless you cut the broadcast too. But no, you get the idea. It was
Right,
so
right,
funny.
right.
There's so many different pipes involved here, like a video stream, an audio stream, and possibly two cameras, and it's almost impossible for one thing to go wrong that takes down everything. Short,
Right, right.
short of a participant actually losing their internet connection.
And that's what
That
happens. The loss of the internet connection is always
Yeah.
it's always the devastating the weak link. That's the weak link, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a totally weekend.
Yep.
Well, there's an even weaker link almost, and that is having a power cut.
Having a what?
A power cut, electricity.
Oh, right. Yes. Oh,
You know,
terrible.
I occasionally sit down here and thinking of pandemic and the end of the world and all that and the collapse of civilization and think,
Yeah, yeah.
well, if I lose the internet, at least I got a huge library of books, videos, DVD, you name it. I've got plenty of stuff I can occupy myself with offline. And then I think, but hang on, power cut, that would be a very serious problem. I wouldn't be able to play, Blu-rays or
Right, right.
a computer, obviously. I wouldn't even be able to charge the iPads or the
No, no,
phones. If we lost electricity, that would be, um, I don't think many people could survive without the internet these days. I doubt if
no.
I could at all.
Hmm.
But losing power, would be the ultimate. We're so dependent now on
Yeah,
everything
agreed, agreed.
needing power, and it's always been a problem. However much we talk about science and being able to digitize our memories and upload them to a virtual world and part them in an avatar for posterity.
Yeah.
Something's still got to power the bloody server.
Right.
Who's going to pay for the server costs? And indeed, if the world blows up, there won't be anything to power the servers. The servers won't be there to be powered. I
Right,
don't
right.
know.
Yep.
If everything is sort of very fragile. And this message rammed home quite a bit to me actually today because I found another post online about what percentage chances that we are actually living in a simulation.
Ah, yep.
And I think actually the overall the chances that we are is actually 1 in 3. So they taking all the different things into account and things that would be evident and wouldn't be, and where how we can never escape, we would never have any way of getting out the wall of the simulation, and whether it will be automated or whether some beings are in control of it, and all these fanciful little things. But at the end of it all, the article I was reading concluded that probably, given all the science and philosophy and everything else involved, the chances are 1 in 3 that we live in a simulation that has been created for us, as it were, even though we may be autonomous AIs. So, puzzles, puzzles
Yeah, yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
Forget about power cuts. What if the energy source that is powering the Milky Way? grid, well, that goes down.
Yeah.
Well, that puts Space moving to Mars as well.
Well, right, right.
Profound questions here. Best to leave them alone, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They're the sort of thing to muse on, but almost impossible to discuss. Right, okay. Something says I got a new. Oh, it's your message to me in Discord. I wasn't seeing that because it's behind my head. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I think we can put that one away rather than have it certainly playing quietly in the background, but we really don't need it, do we? So, moving back to that, that's it. That is it.
All
So,
right.
thoughts on all the wherewithals and stuff we
Uh,
have there.
I'm gonna have to follow up on the eNet reality story because our my staff where I work, my day job, are participating in several conferences that are virtual online conferences, and
Ah,
we have a booth. Supposedly, but it's a web page with some links, and
sure.
the missed opportunity there is to have a virtual booth. Like, we've got the easy capability to do that. Now we're not hosting this conference, but we're attending and
Yeah.
exhibiting. But the exhibit booth is a web page, and okay, I don't need a
Well, yeah,
conference
yeah.
event to have a web page.
Yeah, to have a booth that can be put into the web conference,
Yeah,
presumably,
yeah,
is the idea, isn't it?
yep.
Um, Yeah, I mean that thing. Well, I wasn't at it this time. No, I was at the previous one, the Vicara thing that happened in the week. I think that's all like that. They were tweeting endlessly, starting here, starting there, and
Oh, okay, okay.
then companies were tweeting saying you can find us in booth here and booth there, and of course it was all online. So presumably you could actually look at the Zoom panel, and if you were bored, you could immediately switch over to one of the sponsors' booths or
Yeah.
something. Actually, it's the sort of thing that, well, I think that's a bit too advanced for Open Sync Community Convention, actually, but it's yeah, and it's surprising how easy you can just create web pages that actually are visual metaphors for
Right.
something like a booth where even if the end result is that you click on the picture and it takes you to the web page based on that picture, so you walk up, you click on the picture of the entrance to, I don't know, main auditorium, and when you click on it, it then takes you to a similar sort of scenario. It doesn't even have to be virtual. It can just be a picture-based simulation of where you would of something you would be in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
part of
we
the
have to be
fun with these
patient. We have to
things,
let people catch up to the
yeah,
whole concept of virtual spaces. But
yeah,
we do such amazing things with our Open Simulator conference, our Virtual World's Best Practices conferences, our virtual ability conferences. So you know.
yeah. And even, it's a side point, but even like 20, 25 years ago, it must be now, in the 90s, I had websites and, a lot of the interfaces were designed in Flash and things like that, but
Hmm.
they weren't virtual in terms of movement within them. They were they were kind of a 2D kind of interactive spaces where
Hmm.
you'd go from one thing scene to another depending on how you clicked. So you might say, have a picture on screen, right? Just a still picture, like but maybe painted or maybe photographic, and different parts of the picture will be hot linked to different things, right?
Hmm.
So you might be in a foyer of something, and you've got a choice of doors. So each door you click on would take you somewhere else, but the place it would take you would be yet another picture, simulating the destination and so on. And obviously, you get down a certain level, and it's just pointless to create that metaphor endlessly. Eventually you will come to hard information and stuff like that. But it was still the idea of making a progression through the web pages using what is like virtual reality, basically, visual metaphor. It's like, choose your door, choose the bookshelf of what you're interested in, pull out an appropriate book, and however many times you go down, and eventually you will actually, in the case of bookshelves, it will pull up a PDF, so you'll be out of the illusion. But um, yeah, I mean, sort of, there's lots of ways you can gently introduce
Right.
people to
Right.
the idea
Yep.
of point and clicking through an environment. Yeah.
Yeah, key to virtual world though to me is number one presence. You feel the presence of other people,
Yeah.
and then secondly agency. You have agency to impact the environment you're in, and
Sure.
those are
Sure.
pretty
Yeah.
high criteria for some of these other experiences.
Yeah. As you say, it's sort of one step at a time,
Yep,
really. I
one
mean, if
step at a time,
somebody,
baby steps.
anybody who, a lot of this stuff I just mentioned was, back in the 90s, there were plenty of sort of things like CD-ROMs around, which you don't find anywhere these
Right.
days. But they would employ a similar sort of thing. Before games like Myst and things that got even more complex came along, you didn't have the agency. These weren't online, so they weren't multi-person environments, but they did pave the way to the way, to a great extent, to the way we now navigate in multi-user
Yeah. And then of course before
spaces.
that was choose your own adventure, which involved no computer
Yeah,
technology at all.
yeah.
Turn to
Before
page
that,
5.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, exactly. And we bet like, you even have books with pictures.
Books with pictures. Wow.
Choose your adventure and get a picture on the title page. And yeah, this is true. And yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, I think
Yeah.
that came before Choose Your Adventure.
Right, right.
I don't know. Those things were very novel when they took off. I mean, I don't know how big they are now. I couldn't read them, to be honest. I just got fed up of going backwards and forwards and
Yeah,
copying.
yeah, yeah.
But actually, a guide, that whole technology was very useful in authoring
Yes,
CD-ROMs
for
and
the
things.
writers,
Where,
right?
yeah, you basically needed a method of navigation that wasn't linear, so people could actually
Right,
choose, have the illusion at least of
right.
choosing where they would go.
Well, and
Yeah.
Netflix has done, of course, the thing that's really interesting is there have been a couple releases. Was it the Babadook? Was that the first one? And then there was a Kimmy Schmidt movie, which was choose what happens next, make the choice for the character,
Oh,
and then follow the narrative. And that was those were I
I
actually thought
haven't
those were
seen
kind of
those.
fun. I of course had to explore every pathway, so I would
Oh
restart
yeah,
and
yeah,
make
yeah.
different choices.
It's like me with games and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I haven't seen it. Actually, that would probably. Yeah, that. But I wonder. I suspect that would actually only work when it was streaming, because the
Right. Right.
information about your decision would have to go upline
Right.
to an uplink. Whereas you can. That's not the sort of thing where you can actually just download a movie and
Right.
you
Right.
might be able to encode it to be on a Blu-ray, so that it behaves the same way with your
Yeah.
your
But
Blu-ray
Netflix is so
controller. But
accessible. Oh my goodness. I mean.
yeah, oh yeah, it's everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's everything.
it's everywhere really. Yeah. Another, it's yeah, there's some sad news on the UK radio this morning, and that is that or- the organisations that run cinema distribution and stuff in
Oh
the UK. I
yes.
mean,
Yeah.
the odd thing is, earlier in the release week, they informed us that uh, what was it? The new James Bond movie is
Yeah.
now
That was the
postponed
break. That was the
again.
straw that
Yeah, that's
broke the cinema.
and yeah, exactly. And yeah, yeah, actually there was a post, wasn't there, that
Yeah.
Bond broke
Yep.
cinemas back or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, they
Yep.
it's about, 8, 9,000 people around the country laid off, and the cinema chains will close down.
Yeah. Same in the United
Whether
States.
they'll be
Yep.
supposed, yeah, I mean it's not, a temporary thing. I mean they just have to, they can't sustain
They
through
can't sustain
for
it.
a long period of,
Right.
yeah. So I'm betting that when Bond comes out finally, it will actually go straight to Netflix or straight to Apple.
Yeah. Whoever owns it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Disney,
yeah,
you
there's
know,
Disney, there's Apple, there's Netflix, and
right,
God knows
right.
how many. Amazon, of course.
Amazon, right?
There's so many of them now. I mean, I'm glad I don't actually subscribe to any of them because it's just you wouldn't be able to choose. I
Right.
mean, what are they? They're on average, what, about £10 a month or something? I think
Yeah, I
Disney's
think so. Yeah.
£6 a month. But if you average, two of them, 15, just subscribing to four services, you're talking about what, 30, maybe even 40
Yeah. Yep.
pound, or I don't know, probably equivalent in dollars a month.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. I mean, the great thing about cinemas is they booked stuff in, showed it for a week, moved on, and but there was a funny thing like the Odeon cinemas, would have been tied to certain distributors and stuff, but it was never actually fully exclusive, if you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
you could just pop into a different cinema, and who cares? It's distributor distributed it as long as you can go and see it. And same on terrestrial television. They're late, but they buy up films, and they didn't necessarily have a deal with a given distributor. They just buy them up when they've been out long enough to be available for TV. But now they got all these archives are going to be kept by different. Even the BBC's getting into the act, and they're not meant to be allowed to. They've got this BritBox thing, which they do
Hmm.
jointly with ITV, and they want to archive all their content online, but then charge you for watching it, even though we pay in half of the cases we paid the license fee for making it in the first place. It's they should be BBC should be put out of business. But I'll get into trouble for saying that
Yeah,
because they're so loved.
leave their production companies because I do like a lot of BBC programming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't mean out of business in that sense, but they should be operating in a level playing field. And I mean, it started years ago when I was younger. I mean, um, ITV would have a match of the day or something for soccer fans. Then the sports channels took off with Sky and stuff like that, satellites.
Yeah.
But BT, dreaded British Telecom, who have no business being in television whatsoever, now operate three sports channels and pay ridiculous amounts to get the rights. And then, of course, you've got to pay to subscribe to those channels. Separate from your satellite subscription, you then have, individual channel subscriptions, which probably cost more than Netflix. But the problem is, a thing that really peed me off was that the BBC would continue to compete with the commercial companies where its funding was not in question. They didn't need the advertising. They didn't need to buy big sports matches. They could actually do their job and provide something alternative for people who hate football to watch. But no, they have to compete and put their match on at the same time as the other channels put their match on. And then on the rare occasion the BBC wins the ratings, they say, "Oh, yeah, we won the ratings." Well, that's not their job. If they were a commercial company taking advertising and stuff like that, then that maybe chasing ratings would be their job. But when everything's paid for them by taxpayers, who are supposed to be getting alternative, level programming. Look at it. All these old nannies who are devoted to the BBC. They don't want to watch a football match every Saturday night. They want to play virtual bingo or something. I don't know what they want to do, but they do want to watch football.
Now I've
And
made a
so why is the BBC wasting taxpayers' money putting yet another football match on when there's a thousand sports channels doing the same thing?
I've
Never made sense to
I've
me.
made a new lower third for grouchy old avatars.
Grumpy old
Oh,
avatars, I have you
grumpy.
know.
Okay, grumpy. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
maybe I'm a grouchy over. Maybe I'm grouchy. A member of grumpy old
Well,
avatars.
maybe
Oh, I've got
yeah.
it.
Is grumpy copyrighted? Maybe grouchy is okay.
Well, no, it's
Grumpy.
there was a series in Britain on probably
Right,
BBC
right.
for
Oh,
all
I
I know
remember.
called
Yep.
Grumpy Old Men or
Right.
Grumpy Old Women.
Yep.
And Slim Warrior and I just thought Grumpy Old Avatars.
Yep.
And Producer
Perfect.
came in and yeah. In fact, I'd like to. I must talk to Slim here, see if she wants to redo that. We could get somebody like Isabel Chauvin, who's Probably
Well,
want to replace Boozer. I don't know.
it was appropriate, and I've now have it available as a title.
I've got a title screen for it somewhere.
Oh yeah, that would be good. That
Well,
would be
God,
good.
wait, it was live for a while, so it had the backdrop, and I haven't got the set anymore. That was belonged. The set was built by Metaverse Television and now gone. It was a very good set too. I loved it, and the Crossworld set was good. Well, the Crossworld set was good. It was just like a multiple screen affair,
Oh,
and it was far enough in the background that you couldn't really see what was going on. But the idea was that endless screens of TV screens like a newsroom full of different worlds.
all right. Careful. I'm going to start bringing up the rabbit hole graphic.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I'm suddenly thinking actually that didn't Marcus do for OCC or something a very similar thing with a big thing of screens?
Uh,
Anyway, I don't know. I can't remember now. But if I do that again, I'll have to find build. Uh, if I do build a new set, it will be here. I think at
in
this time.
Sansar. Okay.
I think it would have to be for Crossworlds or anything. But the only question is in world review. But unless it goes back to OpenSim and I get that grid up and running, here's as
Yeah.
good as anywhere, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Or maybe Tivoli, or I don't know, or one of them with Ricardo too, which I think I've got a feeling I get both. Both of them are coming to OSCC with me, so there's been a bit of there's been a bit of cross pollination between Tivoli and Vicadio anyway, so maybe they will tell us more about that come December.
Yep.
Anyway, that is that. So I think we're at the end of this. We have brought you VR and a little bit of MR and a bit of AR and put them all together and you've got a bit of XR. But nothing beats the fact, the undeniable fact that we are. Hey?
We are.
Yeah,
We are. Youth of the
we are.
nation.
We are what we are.
Yep.
Got to clean that one up a bit, but I would find a sign off method. Meanwhile, it is goodbye from this bloke here.
And goodbye from this bloke here.
So that's from the two of us. We will see you again, same time, same place next week. In the meantime, have a good one and stay safe and avoid rabbit holes at all costs. They
Indeed.
tend to be they tend to be time wasters, don't they? Okay, everyone. See you later.